So we're waiting on information from the state on how we'll send notices to them for our board meetings, and they will post that on their site. And then the last one for board members was a revision to policy BBBC in regards to school board member training, and they added that special education would be one of the additional new required trainings for board members. So those three revisions involving school board responsibilities. Does anyone have any questions or discussion regarding those? Okay. The next two are in regards to sick leave for our employees. The first one, policy GBRIB, and these two are, this one is based on Act 315. So in the past, we've already had three different sick leave banks. One was sick leave banks for teachers, one is for bus drivers, and the third is for all other school employees. We will still keep those, that was sick leave bank. I'm sorry. Let me focus on just sick leave. So in this one, it was already stated that if a teacher is injured by a student in their job performance, that they can receive up to 1 year of full paid leave that does not deduct from their own personal accrued leave of any type. But now they're adding in that other school employees, not including bus drivers, instead of only 90 days due to a student injury, they now can receive also up to a year of full paid leave. So we're just adding in other school employees in addition to the title of teachers that also receive leave up to a year. So that's if they were injured on the job by a student while they were trying to, keep students and others from danger, from risk of injury, that paid sick leave for all of their employees increased from 90 days to up to a year. And then our sick leave bank, which is policy GBRIBB, based on Act 115's revisions. So our sick leave bank used to our employees could make donations up to 10 of their own accrued days per fiscal year to the sick leave bank, and we have three different pools in that bank: a pool for teachers, a pool for bus drivers, and a pool for all other employees. And now it's been amended that you may make a donation to an individual employee if you so choose, instead of putting them in the sick leave bank as into the total pot. And also, the leave that you're allowed to donate, while the new revised law said you can't donate any more than half of your accrued leave, our policy already read you can't donate more than 10 of your days to an individual employer or to a sick leave bank. So ours is a little more strict. And then you can only make a donation to an employee or to that pot to which you belong. So a teacher can only donate to a specific employee that's also a teacher, a bus driver to another bus driver, all other employees to those categories. So you can only donate within the pool of your own sick leave in your position. So those are two sick leave revisions. Any questions or discussions about those? Okay, the next is policy GBA on contracts and compensation. So this was brought to you by Ms. Bamberg and Ms. Howe in the June special session of the board, where by June 30th, our district had to have a pay schedule and a procedure in place, and so they brought those to you. And this is just our policy being updated to match those procedures that were voted on already in the June meeting. And it just states that the supplemental compensation procedures that we're going to use, the state said that they have to be paid $30 an hour, so the board voted to pay them $40 an hour so that once taxes and retirements were removed, they would still be able to net their $30 in the requirement. And so that policy has been revised to match those procedures. Any questions or discussion about that one? Okay. Policy JDA, adding to our corporal punishment. Based on Act 780 for a little evening humor. We had to add a statement that under corporal punishment, taping a student's mouth shut or otherwise restricting their airway is prohibited, regardless if the parents consent to do that. So I would like to say we were probably already following that, but now we have it stated explicitly in our policy. Any questions about that one? Policy JGC, Student Health Services. Act 161 had us revised that these next couple ones mentioned, this first one is non-complex health procedures. That would be like our toileting, diapering, lifting, feeding that we have to do for some of our students. It used to state that it had to be prescribed by a physician in Louisiana or an adjacent state to Louisiana, and it's just simply been revised that now it's we can take a prescription by a doctor or physician in any of our states. It doesn't have to be an adjacent state of Louisiana. So that was the only revision there. Didn't really change our processes. But also, again, for policy JGCD, administration of medication, it revised the same thing. Medication orders we receive from doctors, as well as our diabetic plans, that they now can be received from a physician in any of the states. It does not have to be from Louisiana or an adjacent state. And they also just changed the wording. Instead of talking about school employees and how they're trained in giving our Narcan for the opioid overdoses on our sites, instead of it saying from school employees, it now says from trained school personnel. So that was just a wording change on that one. And then the other one that has to do with our medication is policy JGCB on immunizations. We already had this policy in place, but it just states now that administrators and teachers, we cannot distinguish between students whether they've been vaccinated or not. If you're not familiar, while we do require shot records and keep those updated, and our school nursing department has a portal that they upload those in, if a parent chooses to not vaccinate their child, there is a waiver process. Our district has a policy, a form to complete, but there's also an LDOE form that must be completed. And then also, we cannot prohibit enrollment or attendance of a student based on their COVID-19 vaccination status. So those were two amendments to that policy. So any questions about student health, medication, or immunizations? And then the last one is a revision that we just revised in July, and yet we're revising again, policy JGCFA, Behavioral Health Services for Students. This is what I brought to you in the special session of the board in July in regards to when we were having outside counselors now coming on our sites. They already had been, but this is a more specified procedural process on who qualifies and who can come in. And they just added definitions for an independent third-party payer and what medically necessary services are. So those definitions have been added. I believe it was Ms. Darby that was asking, someone asked in that special session to make sure that the school board was never going to be financially liable for these services. And I said, they're not. And so they even added that it would have to be provided by an independent third-party payer. Also, these counselors and physicians that might be coming on our campuses to provide private counseling and mental health services, they can take place during the instructional day. And also, if they've already completed a background check through the Louisiana Behavior Analyst Board, they can forego our background check procedures that we have. So that would be acceptable as well. So that is the last of the revisions for these 11 policies. Any discussion or questions about those? Paul?
Madam Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Fuller.
if you would entertain a motion to approve the revisions as presented.
Have a motion to approve. Motion approved by Mr. Bullard and second by Mr. Faulting. All vote. Carries.
Thank you.
Good job, Ms. Spinney. You did a great job explaining those revisions. All right, that was the only item that we have to consider, so it may be a record. Adjourn for the...
I would like to make one statement.
Oh, goodness.
It comes as a surprise. I'm offended that we have to worry about administering Narcan. That says something about our society. I'll shut my sermon down right there, but it offends me.